welcome back to Prairie Exotics. I'm Steve. This is my friend Shar. Hi. And again, we're going to introduce you to a couple of our awesome animals here, including my friend Callie, who I also love to affectionately call Fatty Fat Pants.
Mm-hmm. All right.
She's a Flemish Giant New Zealand cross. She comes in at about 17 pounds.
She's huge.
They're originally bred in Belgium, Flanders Fields, where they have Belgian horses, the big Belgian flower. They like big stuff, so they bred big bunnies. We also have Loki down there. He's a purebred Flemish Giant. So
He's
if
gorgeous.
he was a she, he would be even bigger than Callie here. The girls that are purebreds are like pushing 20, 25 pounds. Yeah. As we were hoping was Loki was a girl, but we got him so young it turned out that he was a boy.
Like it's hard to tell?
It is, yeah, until they're about 6 weeks so to tell if they're a boy or a girl. But being such a large rabbit, you can see she's totally calm. She doesn't think she's gonna be eaten by everything, so she's totally fine just to lay around. When you have them at home, they can be litter trained. Just gotta make sure you're not having any cords up for them to chew on, because other than that, they're pretty good. Loki's still a bit of a challenge. He's a toddler, so his potty training abilities aren't 100% yet, but we're still working on it.
He's so soft.
Yeah. Well, here, I gotta
Sheds
show
a
you
lot,
her
but he's soft.
feet. Look at these
Oh, her.
feet.
Sorry. Her?
Look
Her.
at her. Look at the size of those feet.
So soft.
And then her
too.
big fuzzy neck here is where she would store her little babies. If she had babies, they hide under there to stay warm in her tooth back. But you can see she just
She just loves to cuddle too.
cuddles really well yet.
Hi, baby. My darling.
So these guys can live 7 to 8 years. You just feed them alfalfa hay and pellets and water, and they're good to go. You can play outside in a nice secure pen because you don't want them getting loose, obviously, or anyone getting in there. But our bunnies and the tortoises actually get to play outside in the summer, so
That would be the
they have a
cutest
lot
thing.
of fun. Yeah, races. They're always doing
Yeah.
their races. Tortoises.
sense.
Tortoises always winning.
Tortoise in the
All
hair.
right, let's put her back in here. Back in with her little friend.
They
All
hang
right.
out all the time together?
Yes, they do. They're bonded. They're best friends. They're always sitting
Okay.
there licking each other and grooming. It's pretty cute.
Oh, that's adorable.
All right, well, let's bring out another cute little friend, my friend Tommy. Check out this guy. Here, I'll put him down. Now, Tommy here, he's a turtle, but he's called a box turtle.
Okay.
And the reason he's called that is because his shell's actually pretty special. His shell has a little hinge right here and a hinge right here, which allows the shell to close. So if you remember with the tortoises, when I push their head in, their feet, they use their
Yeah.
feet to close the door, right? Well, with Tommy here, when we push his head in his little feet, he can actually close the door with his shell, just like that. And then 3, 2, 1, pew, pops out. But the problem with my friend little Tommy here is he's a little overweight. So, yeah, the lovely older lady that surrendered him to us took really good care of him, but she fed him a lot more protein and worms because it's cute to watch him rip up the worms and suck them out. But like me eating too many cheeseburgers, he can get a little out of shape. So from a defense standpoint, that's not very helpful to him. I was watching a documentary actually the other day, and they had the box turtles down there. I think it was in Florida, and a raccoon comes out and goes after the turtle, and the turtle's like, closes his shell super tight. And the raccoon's sitting there trying to pry it apart. And they can hold their shell so tight the raccoon couldn't get in there. Finally, the raccoon just like tosses the turtle away and books it into the bush. Turtle like pokes his head out.
It's safe?
I'm safe. He's good to go. So with Tommy though, like when we put his head in and his little feet here and close it up, his butt sticks out. And if we were to put his butt in and his front comes out because he's just too fat for his shell. So he'd be trying to hide from a raccoon and they'd be chowing down on his tail there. So he is on a diet. We make sure he gets on his little turtle treadmill. Got a worm hanging there, getting him to exercise off. We take him out to lots of presentations to make sure he's happy
I need a
and
video
healthy.
of that.
Yeah, I'll get it to you. Yeah, but the biggest thing is making sure he's got all his salads and a limited amount of protein because we want him to be healthy. But
Does it, like, this would grow?
yep.
Yeah.
He won't get much bigger. Box turtles stay fairly small depending on the species. This guy's a 3-toed box turtle, so he won't get a whole lot bigger. But what he likes to do sometimes is you'll see his chin, how it's kind of brightly colored. You know how I was saying with the lizard that scared you?
Yeah.
The blue-tongued skink?
Like the
How he's trying
poison.
to, exactly.
So he's like trying to show it off too. He's like, look.
Exactly. I'm a turtle and I'm terrifying. Look, I'm bright. But he's
Is
not
he scared
terrifying.
right now though?
No. No, he's just trying to show off, make sure everyone thinks he's big and in charge. It's pretty cute though.
That was actually really cute. How you did. Oh, there we go again.
All the way up.
All right,
Oh,
stretch it
well.
out. Maybe he wants like a little rub under there.
Little rub on his chin.
He's got a little pointy nose too.
Oh yeah. And it looks like he needs his nails trimmed too there. Okay. Get a little long. All right. These guys are a little on the grosser side.
On the messy side.
Yeah.
I'll stand back.
Yeah, they might hop a little bit.
Oh gosh, more.
More frogs.
Face it towards.
Yeah, face it away from you.
Oh,
Oh,
there.
yeah. Try to hold them. I'll just do one at a time. There we go.
Oh, they have huge eyes.
Oh yes. So this is called a cane toad.
Okay. A
Yeah.
king?
Cane toad.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they were introduced because I think it was Hawaii, and in Australia they had like sugarcane fields,
Yeah.
and they had a lot of bugs and rodents and stuff that were damaging their fields. So they thought, hey, let's introduce these frogs. They're going to come and eat all the bugs. Problem solved. Only issue is that these guys are technically poisonous. See right here and right here, it looks like a gland. That's actually a poison gland. And so if they're stressed or being eaten something, they produce a toxin out of there that'll make them get spit out or put down. It works really great. They'll also have hundreds of eggs that turn into babies and tadpoles. So these things have exploded with nothing that can eat them, and them eating everything, they become an invasive species. And that's where you got to be careful that you're not picking up a pet like this maybe and letting it go outside. Now,
Yeah.
here in Manitoba, we're frozen for half the year, so most of the exotics that would get left outside, which you don't want to be doing, aren't going to survive. But taking them to a place like us or the Humane Society is a much better option. Let's see if he wants to hop for us. This is just one of one of the smaller males. Female. Oh, he's actually making.
You picked the worst person to do this.
He's actually croaking too.
Does that mean he like he's happy?
Yeah, he's trying to show off. Where are you going? Hop one more time. Yeah, the females, they can get like dinner plate size. They get really big.
It's huge.
Yeah. Isn't he cute?
Yeah. Oh, there he goes.
Right?
You need a microphone.
Here, get him closer to me.
Again.
Well, that wasn't very loud. Oh, little bits.
Aww.
All right, well, let's put him back in there. All right, guys, welcome to this episode of Creature Feature, and we're going to do a very popular one, and that's the ball python. These guys have become a designer snake pretty much, coming in all sorts of colors and patterns and stuff. Now it's quite neat, and they're actually really easy to take care of. Some have issues with shedding, which we'll get to in a little bit. We've got Kahlua in there. This is Pixel, and then this is Mojave, which is simply a Mojave type ball python. This one is called a calider. Basically took a calico and a spider, which are two different morphs, and bred them together. And then Kahlua here is just simply a normal. She's a beautiful normal, though. That's one that you would find in the wild in Africa. So that's why they come from South Africa. And they call it a ball python because when they're scared, they typically roll up into a ball to protect their head. Also called the royal python because royalty wear them as a nice necklace around, or as you can see here, a pretty little bracelet for a night out on the town. Now, setting them up is pretty easy. A lot of people go with a bin setup, but I'm not too keen on the bin setup. If you are on a budget, I mean, these things aren't cheap. You got to budget a lot of money, at least $100 probably for the snake, at least twice that for the enclosure. Keep in mind vet visits, all the extras, the heat pad and the controller aren't cheap either. So they're not really a cheap, affordable pet, but they are easy. Once they're set up, they are easy to go. I prefer the front opening glass tanks like these Exoterras. They're nice because instead of having to undo clips to take off the lid on the top, I simply open the front. I'm feeling right face to face with the snake. Snakes, especially in the wild, these guys are so domesticated and calm, they don't have the issue. But in the wild, if a snake sees something coming down on top, like your hand in a cage, they're thinking bird of prey, I'm gonna get eaten. So they're often not gonna be like in that situation, especially when you're trying to feed them. That's not a good way to feed them, dangling a rat by the tail on top. They're not gonna like that. We'll show feeding a corn snake in one of the other episodes, but a good technique is to grab the rodent behind the neck, hold it low in front of the enclosure of the snake, and you'll smell it with that tongue you'll see coming in and out, and then bam, hit it and go in. You want the tank to be large enough that it can pretty much extend its full body out. They're not a large snake, maybe 4.5 feet at most. Let's see, come on, Chloe, how big are you when we stretch you all the way out? So she can get across here pretty well. She's got a nice dish of water, a hide. Now, we are providing the light here just visually to brighten it up because we have people coming in and we want it to look nice, but you don't need to use light with these guys. They get all the heat from their bellies. So again, we're gonna use one of our little heat pads here. This one's way too small for the size of the tank. You want an appropriately sized pad that's gonna cover about 1/3 to maybe even half of that tank. And then again, using our controller to make sure we're not burning down our house by just plugging it in and letting it go. People have done that. They've taped the plastic from the heat pad right to the underneath of the tank, plugged it in, and then come back and it's cracked and shattered that glass. So that's one of the things you gotta be really careful for. And also then you could burn your snake, so you wanna be cautious. These guys, if they are having a rough shed like we see my little friend Mojave's having here, one of the things you can do is mist their enclosure. Now you don't mist them regularly, coming from a drier area. If they get too much water, they could get a respiratory infection. So you do wanna keep them fairly dry, but when it comes to shedding time, give them a little misting there. You can even give them a pillowcase to rub around on. But you'll see we've got some rocks in here to help with the shed and that kind of stuff to ease. But when you do get a snake that has a bit of shed stuck, if you're not able to easily just move it with your fingernails there. One trick I do is I take a pillowcase, soak it in some lukewarm water, wring it out, and then just pop the snake in there, tie it shut, and they'll roll around in there for a couple hours, even leave them overnight in their enclosure so it's safe and they're not getting out. But they'll rub with that soft, wet pillowcase and most of that'll come off. The other issue that they tend to have is they'll get stuck eye caps because they do shed that skin right over their eyes, and we don't want that to build up and cause them to be essentially blind. So again, if you can't take your thumb and rub it off very quickly or with some tweezers, a little trick is to take some duct tape, wrap it backwards on your finger so that the sticky part is out, and just gently rub it across, and that'll really start to remove those eye caps quite easily. Mineral oil is another great one as well for these guys. But you see they can hang on by their tail as they're moving around. So that's all we're going to learn about right now for these ball pythons. I hope you enjoyed learning about them. I think we're going to check out the ferrets next because they look like they need to do some playing, and it's always a fun time watching those guys. So stay tuned. All right, guys. Well, I got Claire here with me, and we've got some awesome ferrets that are ready for a fun time. Claire's got Lily, who's looking like she's ready to go. So we're going to put her and Opie and Buddy into their playpen. They get at least once or twice a day to play and frolic. Ferrets are very active little creatures. If you have one, you should have it with you at all times, but having 2 or 3 is much better for these guys. Very curious. When they are up, they're usually up for about 4 hours out of the day, though. For the other 20 hours, they're typically sleeping, but you'll see once they're up for their playtime, they do like to frolic around. Welcome back. Hopefully you had some fun watching the neat things that we saw. We'll introduce you to a couple more of the different animals that we have here on set, like my friend Pumpkin. Pumpkin here is a Saharan Euromastic, so kind of like a little friend Littlefoot from Egypt. This one's from the Saharan Desert. Pumpkin does like to eat all the same herbs, vegetables, greens, all fruits and stuff like that, no bugs, and likes it really hot. And again, big weapon of a tail here, so it's shedding in pieces, it looks like. You can see his bright little tummy. You want to try holding them? Support the front and the back. So these are ones you can take out and play with, but not for too long of a period because they do like it really hot in the desert. Again, pushing upwards 125, 130 degrees from their basking spot, so you don't want them out too long. If it's a nice summer day here in Manitoba, you can probably go out for that, but not in our minus 40, that's for sure.
So they like our warmth.
Warmth, yeah, definitely.
Oh, he's so cute.
But it's pretty cute watching them eat their little salads too, and not having to deal with bugs is a big thing. A lot of people don't like dealing with bugs, right? So when you go to lizards, a lot of lizards eat bugs. So when you can find something that's a herbivore like these little guys, it can be a nice addition to something else.
That's very neat.
Plus these guys come in all sorts of cool colors too. Like this is bright orange, there's yellows, reds, blues, and we're not talking just a little bit, like silly colors, like bright. It's ridiculous.
Pinks? Any pinks?
That I'll have to check into. I'm not too sure if you guys
I like
come
his
in
tail,
pinks.
like when you first put him down, it was...
Yeah, and you can pretty hard with it. It's nice and pointy. If he hits you hard enough, like he could make you bleed with his tail. Like it's strong. All right, I'll put him back down under here in his little pillowcase. Now I'm gonna bring out my friend SpongeBob next.
Okay.
And SpongeBob's pretty cool. I think you've actually met SpongeBob before.
I think the name sounds familiar.
I think we brought him along
It's
to
a snake,
our
isn't it?
yeah, our holiday show we did here with Shaw. Check him out.
That's him.
Hold
Hi,
on.
buddy.
There you go. So SpongeBob here is a gopher snake from the Sonoran Desert in Mexico and the United States. You can see he's trying to smell with his tongue just like the corn snake we had out earlier. And you can see he feels different, right? Mm-hmm. Like he's got bumpy scales. He's actually got keeled
He's not
scales.
as smooth as a...
Right, not as smooth. He's got keeled scales like a rattlesnake. So, and these guys have a warning system too. First thing that they'll do is they actually rattle their tail. Now, he's not a venomous snake, he's not a rattlesnake, but he vibrates his tail really fast and makes a buzzing sound. And he's trying to trick you into thinking he might be venomous. It's that mimicry again. If that doesn't work, he hisses. And unlike a little garter snake that's like a hiss, these guys, like bull snakes, have more of a growl. It's like a... It's a little more terrifying. Yeah. And then the next thing that happens is they would bite. But I'm going to teach you something important.
Okay.
Now, I get asked all the time, does this animal bite, does that animal bite? There's an easy way to tell. All you got to do is look at their face. If they've got one of these things around here, it's the same as mine, it's called a mouth, they can bite. But why do they bite, right? 2 reasons. Eat their food. In this case, we're not food. We don't smell like a gopher or a rat. We smell like body spray and whatever you're wearing. And the other reason is just to defend itself. He's so used to be handled going to presentations at schools and daycares that obviously he's not going to bite me. But if you ran into one in the wild, you're holding it. It has no options other than to bite you and hope you get put down. So when it bites, it's not like it's latching on to eat you. It wouldn't want to be attached to you. It wants you to go away. So it's put me down, put me down. And 9 times out of 10, they've got small itty bitty little teeth and it doesn't hurt or bleed even unless maybe the tooth scratches you a little bit. But honestly, a cat scratch is going to be worse than these guys.
He's so friendly.
Oh, very. Yeah, let's see if he wants to come down on the table here for a second. Now, a lot of people, for some reason, think that snakes don't have bones because they can do all sorts of curling around like that, but they definitely have lots of bones. They've got their spine, all their ribs, and then the muscle obviously holds it together. The scoots are the belly scales under here that helps them scoot and climb along. But even with all those bones, you can do cool tricks with them like this. Just tie them right into a knot.
Like a little pretzel.
Like a little pretzel. See if he wants to go for a double knot. All the way through. Pretty cool, eh?
Hi, guy. Hi. And you were giving him kisses last time, I remember?
Yep, he's very friendly. Come give you kisses. Right. So he eats a rat usually every 2 to 3 weeks or so.
Okay.
Again, we've thawed a big frozen thawed rat and then
Do you ever give
eats a
them
whole-
live? Like, no.
We don't feed anything live. There's no need for it. If we were to get a baby that didn't want to eat for some reason, we've had to try doing live, but there's really no benefit. And for the number of snakes that we care for, keeping enough mice and rats alive would be a whole other job, and they stink. So I don't want to deal with that.
Yeah.
I'm going to show you a cool little gecko up behind you here, though. Check out this little guy.
So bright.
Yeah, that's a giant day gecko, and they come from Madagascar too. Now that's not one that we would ever handle. It can be actually really tricky to try and get it in and out of its cage. It's got sticky toes, which makes it able to climb up the walls. It's very fast, and its skin is actually so delicate that it can rip off of its body. Yeah, we had one that got out one day, and I had to make the choice of either grabbing the gecko or losing it, and I grabbed him, and sure enough, tore part of his skin. Now, it heals up fairly quickly, and that's part of the defense, but it's not one it's more for looking at. But as far as a looking at standpoint, it's beautiful. You can make a nice planted tank in your living room and watch these guys run around chasing the bugs and all kind of stuff like that. But those are actually the ones they use for selling the Geico insurance.
I was going to ask.
Yeah, that's the little guy.
Looks familiar.
But with the Geico commercial, he's got like a British accent, and yet they're
This guy
from
doesn't have that?
Madagascar, so it should be more like Australian, if anything. Okay, let's see who else do we got under here. Ooh, this one will be fun.
Okay.
I think this is my buddy Martin. Oh, hey, buddy.
Oh my goodness. Sugar gliders.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Come here.
Oh.
Now, he's nocturnal too, so he's not going to be too happy about being out.
Cute.
But a sugar glider is essentially like a flying squirrel. They're a marsupial, actually, so they're related to wallabies, wombats, kangaroos.
Oh my.
So his, like pebbles at our zoo, when they have their babies,
You look too
they
young to
actually
have a
have
life.
little babies in their pouches.
Like
Yeah.
little kangaroos.
Yeah. And then after a while, once they're big enough, they get out and they ride on the back.
Oh my gosh,
Now-
his eyes are so huge.
Yep, huge for checking out what's going on at night. Big ears for listening, sharp claws for climbing. You can see he's got the extra skin between for gliding. So that's what they do. They climb up into the trees and then glide from tree to tree. They can hang from their little monkey tails.
Can he do that? Can you show me?
He doesn't
He
seem to
doesn't
want to right
He's
now.
like, I want to do what I want
So
to do.
people get suckered into these guys because they are so adorable. But the problem is being nocturnal, they're up in a wheel all night running around. They don't really like being up during the day playing a whole lot. They scent, and by scent I mean pee on everything to mark where they've been.
Oh,
Yeah,
lovely.
So they know where they've been, where they're going, who they're with, all that kind of fun stuff. They need a specialized diet, but also being social, you have to have at least 2 or 3 of these. And at $300 to $400 a piece, plus like a $500-600 enclosure, you're now spending like $2,000 on something you can't really play with. So this is one of those animals that that doesn't make the greatest pet, or it might be better for a specific type of person.
Okay.
So, yeah. But you know, that's
night
all the
owl.
animals that we are going to discuss for today. I want to thank you
Okay.
for coming and learning about all these guys
well,
with
I
me.
love learning about them for sure.
All right, well, we'll see you next time. Have a good one.
Thanks, you
All right,
too.
thank you guys for showing or
Thanks,
tuning in, and have a
guys.
good one. Catch you later.
Bye.